Bubba Booa. Hello guys and welcome back to Doctor Who Week. Anyway, let's get into some monsters.
When people need help, I never refuse. What do we do?
Why are you asking her?
Because she's in charge, bro.
Says who?
Says us. Let's get a shift on.
Legend is Exodus, searching for euphoria, searching through the mud to find the present.
I feel glorious, glorious, got a chance to start again.
I'm just a traveller.
I was born for this, born for this.
Sometimes I see things need fixing. Do what I can.
I made it through the darkest part of the night, and now I see the sunrise. Now I feel glorious, glorious.
Chasing dreams, but I never slept.
Oops.
I feel
Alright guys, so today I'm going to be discussing some monsters that I think Chibnall could bring back in future series, or even maybe tease them at the end of this series, maybe in the Christmas special, we don't know. But anyway, the Daleks and Cybermen are not included because these are going to be monsters and aliens from Doctor Who, Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures that I think he could bring back. And these are actually classic as well as some modern villains. So let's get into it. So first of all, I've got the Silurians. I think they were fantastic in the 11th Doctor story, The Hungry Earth, and I can't remember what the other one was. Cold Blood. Yeah, they were fantastic in that storyline. It was really nice to see the Silurians, but it's been a while since they've been actual villains because they weren't proper villains, really, proper monsters, were they? And they haven't really been since they were introduced, and I'd like to see like the original kind of Silurians come back, maybe. And we brought the original Cybermen back, so what's wrong with the original Silurians? Anyway, and then of course, we could also bring back the Sea Devils, another Third Doctor monster. I think the Third Doctor had such an amazing amount of monsters. Now, of course, a lot of these are Earth-based ones because, but there's nothing stopping them showing up in past Earth, future Earth, contemporary Earth. I think that we should be able to see some like Sea Devils, some Silurians, you know, like because obviously the Third Doctor was grounded for most of his time, and he for part of his time anyway, so a lot of his earlier monsters were based on like came from Earth. So obviously the Silurians were the original inhabitants of Earth, Sea Devils came from the seas, Autons just basically came from like shop dummies and things, which brings me on to my next monster he could bring back, the Autons, because we haven't really seen the Autons show up since the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang, and let's be honest, they were a little bit underrated coming back as Roman soldiers. I think having those kind of shop dummy things really is scary, and if you can do a scary version, I'd love to see someone like, I know James Wan had never directed an episode of Doctor Who, but I'd love to see him write an episode and direct an episode of Doctor Who with the Autons that's actually scary, because I think one thing that works about Doctor Who is some of the monsters we could see on the street, like the Autons. I walk past a shop and I see a shop dummy. As a Doctor Who fan, I automatically make that an Auton, but it is quite still creepy to look at, and I think sometimes it's like the Peg Dolls. I think the episode was rubbish, but I think the fact that there were the Peg Dolls, it was a bit creepy. And then next I've got Sutekh from the Pyramids of Mars, I think it was called. It's a fantastic episode, one of the best episodes of classic Who in my opinion, along with City of the Death and Castrovalva. and those big kind of known stories that are really good. But I do think that Sutekh could come back because I think he's only shown up a couple of times, and it would be nice to see Sutekh and the robot mummies come back. I mean, it'd have been perfect if they'd have done that with the pyramids for Capaldi in, I think it was series 10 that it was in, could have been series 9. To be honest, I lost a bit of track with the Capaldi. But it would be nice to see them back, you know, really after the Doctor. But maybe they will, maybe they won't. And the next is, of course, the Master or the Mistress. I think the problem with Missy was it was a great experimental thing to do. It worked, and it really did heal the relationship between the Doctor and Missy, because at the end of the day, when the Doctor and the Master were children, they were best friends, but they separated because he got the sound of the drums in his head and everything. And then you became Missy and tried to be evil, but Michelle Gomez is a phenomenal actress, and I don't think that her Missy was written evil enough. She was too soft. Like, fair enough, invading London when the world was Cybermen and that, but the Doctor saved it too easily. Like, it was teased all through series 8, and then she's like, well, I can't exactly keep calling myself the Master now, could I? And then it's like, well, you could, but because the Master, like, you can have a show, I don't know, like Masters of the Universe. So that doesn't mean that Masters of the Universe can only feature male characters. It did mainly feature male characters, but there were female characters as well. But just because it's called Masters doesn't have to make it male. You could make a female Master, and it doesn't have to be a Mistress. I know that Mistress is normally the female version of a Master, but you could call a woman the Master, you know, there shouldn't be that difference. But yeah, I do think we should have the Master back. Like, we need an actor that can really pull off the hatred and the anger that the Master had for the Doctor, because Missy didn't seem to have that hatred. She kind of fell in love. It became like a fairy tale, really. We need to see that hatred back. And then next I have, of course, an actual female villain, the Rani, because I think if Jodie Whittaker's Doctor and the Rani went together against each other, that would work. And Missy would work with Jodie Whittaker. I think with Capaldi they kind of made it a bit more of a romantic relationship, whereas if you had the Rani or Missy, obviously I'm going to say the Rani because this part's about the Rani. If you had the Rani and Jodie Whittaker's version of the Doctor going against each other, it would be really good, because you'd have these two strong female characters in the show that would then be constantly battling to stay on top, and obviously the fans are like, come on Doctor, you can do it, you're going to win. But what happens if the Rani wins? And we haven't seen the Rani for a while, so maybe it's a bit like time the Rani made her return. And next is another classic villain, which I think's only shown up in one episode, and it's the Celestial Toymaker. I think that episode's really cool. I think it's a little bit, it gets you a bit edgy as well, and I think if they brought him back, it'd be a fantastic story, especially in modern day with all the technology that we have, and that's advanced. And I think the Celestial Toymaker really could be a good villain for Jodie, really, just because I think it'd play out a little bit better. Anyway, next would be the Eight Legs, which is a really rubbish name for a species of monster. And the Eight Legs were, of course, for those that don't know, they were the name of the monsters that were the spiders in the episode Planet of the Spiders. The Eight Legs was the name of the monsters. I'm presuming that's just some rubbish that the Doctor came up with off the spot. It reminds me of the episode, I forgot what the episode is now, Flashpoint or something. The one where they get really small and it features the Boneless. Well, originally they call them something else, and the Doctor's like, no, that's a stupid name. Let's call them the Boneless, and I'm the man that stops the monsters or whatever. but the fact that was a really good episode, I think it's very underrated. I think they really were a good villain, because art's all around us, and using that to their advantage and coming back, it really was good. So the Boneless would be a good villain to bring back, but it would also be good to see the Eight Legs come back. Now, I don't know if the spiders that are going to be in the new series are anyway related to the Eight Legs. I'm presuming not, seeing as we're not seeing any classical villains and Chris Chibnall keeps pressuring. How many times does he have to say it? There aren't any new monsters, unless that's just him trying to get in his head saying there ain't any, and then we'll be more shocked when there is. Who knows, maybe he's keeping something up his sleeve. But I think the episode, spoiler alert, the episode with the spiders is supposed to be the episode with the witches that we saw them filming, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that has Alan Cumming playing King James I in as well. But again, we don't actually know, but it would be nice to see the Eight Legs come back and maybe Jodie get all scared of spiders, and it would be really cool. And with the CGI we've got now as well, it'd be good, but I think if they brought them back, doing them as CGI would be rubbish. It'd really ruin it, and that's what I'm worried about, these big spiders. I think they look scary just seeing the legs, but I'm scared that the CGI is going to look rubbish. Then again, they are using the same effects company that they did Blade Runner 2049, so again they could have some really good CGI, but it would be nice if they brought the Eight Legs back to bring them back with actual practical prop spiders, like they did for the original, which was just like models and things, like a puppet. It would be nice to do that again. Next is the Slitheen. Like, we haven't seen the Slitheen really since, in Doctor Who we haven't seen them since Aliens in London, I don't think. And of course Sarah Jane Adventures was running for quite some time, and them and the Bane tended to be quite dominant villains in the Sarah Jane Adventures, as well as the Blatheen as well. And it'd be nice to see the Blatheen and the Slitheen maybe go against each other in an episode of Doctor Who. I don't know, maybe they could join forces and fight the Doctor or invade Earth, I don't know, but either way it'd be nice to see them come back, because it has been a while since they came back. And the next villain is another villain from the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I think it'd be amazing to see the Doctor face this villain, and it is of course the Nightmare Man, which obviously that was quite, it's one of my favourite episodes of Sarah Jane Adventures, just because of how creepy it is and how things change, and it's very horror movie like. And I think with Doctor Who, if they had a bigger budget, which I think they have, the effects they could pull off with a good actor, like they could effectively create a psychological thriller episode, and it'd be so cool. I think the Nightmare Man is a fantastic idea. I think they could have expanded on it a little bit more, and it would be nice for him to get inside the Doctor's head maybe, and then the companions have to save the day for a change. I always love it when the companions get to be the heroes, like in, I think it's called Flashpoint, I can't remember the name of the episode. If you guys know what I'm on about, you know what I'm on about, the one where Clara plays the Doctor, and there's the mini TARDIS. That's one of my, it is a good episode, and I like it because it gives Clara this chance to really shine and become Dr. Clara. And I love it when companions do that. Obviously we had Dr. Donna as well, which it was interesting, but I don't think Catherine Tate was a good enough actress to do it. And the next are the Sontarans, of course. They were dominant in the Sarah Jane Adventures. They were quite a good villain in Doctor Who. But then we got Strax, and it kind of ruined the whole idea of these warrior beings that are bred for war. You know, these clones that look like potatoes that are bred for war. And I think having them come back like they used to, you know, these warriors, it would be really good to see them invade the world, really, or even the Doctor travel to another planet and find out that the Silurians have declared war on him, and the Doctor has to stop war, and that'd be a really good way of showing war and peace, really. And you could have this big speech about war, a bit like we got in the Zygon inversion. I think that'd be quite cool. Next is the Trickster. The Trickster was such a good villain for Sarah Jane, you know, when she faced up against the Trickster. She really was this strong, dominant character, and people are saying that a female doctor's not going to work. What is the difference between Sarah Jane Smith and the Doctor being a woman? There isn't much difference other than the fact that the Doctor has a TARDIS and a screwdriver rather than lipstick. But other than that, there isn't much difference. They were both... And one's human and doesn't regenerate, so for Sarah Jane there was always this element of death, and it was like us doing it, whereas it doesn't have to be that way. It could very well have ended up being that there would be, you know, that she could have died, could Sarah Jane, but she didn't. Of course, in the end, Elizabeth Sladen died before the show finished. It would have been nice to see the show finish, and I think there is somewhere where you can read what was planned. I would like to know what the whole thing was about that guy that was sending them around time, because a lot of people thought he was going to turn out to be Clyde from the future. Anyway, so the next one, and the next one are the Mayflies, or the Mayflies. I think they were a First Doctor monster alien thing. It'd be nice to see some really old classic style monsters come back that we haven't really seen for a while, and that only got like one episode or a serial. It would be nice to see them come back for an episode, for a series or something, and maybe even be an overall-arching villain. And the next one is the Sleeper. Now the Sleeper would have been perfect for the Last Christmas if they'd have tied that into maybe the Sleeper being the villain. But instead they went for Faced Huggers and ripped off Alien basically. I'm surprised they didn't have Chestbusters as well. But that would have been rather interesting, and Stephen Moffat has actually said that the character that plays, I can't remember her name, but she's in that episode anyway. Moffat actually teased her to become the new companion. He was ready for her to take over, and then Jenna Coleman was like, actually I'm going to do Series 9 as well. And the next one is the Axons. I think they're a fantastic villain. They're such a classic villain. You know, when you think of classic monsters, you think Sontarans, Daleks, Cybermen, Axons, Sutek. You know, you think those classic monsters. It would be nice to see the Axons return, because the Axons I don't think have shown up since the... it wasn't the End of Time. It was the Titanic episode with... David Tennant that I've forgot the name of. Voyage of the Damned. That was the name of the episode. It was Voyage of the Damned, and we had the Axons as the angels, I'm pretty sure. But it would be nice to see another version of the Axons come back, maybe as some form of Christmas angel, I don't know, maybe there would be a good villain for Christmas, or maybe it'd just be good to see them back as their old classical self. The next is the Draconians. I think they're really cool. And in a way they're a bit sinister as well, a bit creepy in their old episodes that I obviously showed it up in. And it would be nice to see them return as well. But of course, it's not up to us, it's up to whether they bring them into the show. And finally, a villain that I think could... a villain that I think could show up that Chris Chibnall could bring back is the Gods of Ragnarok. I know that sounds like something to do with Thor. It's not. They are a genuine villain from the classic series of Doctor Who. I think they'd be nice to come back. I think it'd be interesting to see the Doctor face up against them. And that's about it for my... Anyway guys, thanks for watching today's video. I've been the Doc 11th. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I explain to you why Jodie is making history. Goodbye for now guys. Goodbye.